The recording is started.
Thank you. This is the meeting of the Police Advisory Committee Commissioners Committee. It's October 27th, and this is our monthly meeting. My name is Paul Yee. I'm one of the co-chairs. I'm going to have introduction of voting and non-voting members, so everybody knows who's in the room, and also on Zoom. Okay.
So I'm Ron Wilkinson. I'm the other co-chair for the committee. Scott?
Sure. I'm Scott Nanian, town meeting member for precinct 10 and the voting member of the committee.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, Ben Rosenbleek. I'm a non-voting member. Public comment. Great.
David Butcher here for public comment.
Denis Tokachev here for public comments.
Clint Richmond, public comment.
I'm John Hilliard, voting member of the committee and town meeting member of precinct 11.
And on Zoom,
I'm Christine Knopf, town meeting member and 15.
and also PCAC meeting.
And PVA and a member of the commission.
And non-voting members is Anna Braga there?
Embrega is not coming this evening.
Okay. Susan Harris?
Yes, she is here. Hold on.
Great.
Paul Campbell is here.
And also, and Nicholas Spoon, the police department. Good evening. All right, first order of business. Yes. So we do have a quorum. We have yeah.
Yeah, we currently have one vacancy.
Yes, right. Approval of the minutes of September 29th, 2025. Everybody should have it in the package. And everybody should have read it. I'm talking to the voting members. Oh,
Kim.
Kimberly, please say hello.
You're,
Good evening, everyone.
you're muted, Kim.
Am I? No,
And-
you can't hear me.
Yes, we can hear you
Kimberly
just
is
fine.
Good evening.
The PCAC member.
A voting member of the committee.
Yes. All right, I'll entertain motion to approve minutes if there's no amendments or edits.
So moved. And I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. And any additions, amendments to the minutes? None? Okay, we'll take a vote. Ron?
Aye.
Yes.
John Hilliard, aye.
Scott?
Scott Nanian, aye.
Christine?
Christine Knopf, aye.
Okay, and Kimberly?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay. Oops, excuse me. Public comment, 3-minute limit on each person who wish to speak. I understand that there may be some folks that wish to speak about flock. And perhaps if I could just put our vote in context, then we could really talk about and comment on the vote of the PCAC and whether or not it's right or wrong. We did not vote on granting permission to the police department to use or to install flock townwide. We're not having flock as a vendor of the Brookline Police Department. It's one camera that is put in by a private landowner, Chestnut Hill Realty. And that camera can provide data to the police department. By the number and is Sound Police Department. Sound Police Department. So, deciding if flock is a good idea, if it's invasion of privacy, because this is only one camera in the town. The police department do not have any other access to any other cameras, made by flock. Only that one camera. And only the data from that one camera, just. So,
Yeah, I just, it's like, what we go, if we can receive data from flood, there needs to be issue for you. That for the road. There were lots of implications about in general, which was beyond the scope of the vote we took. However, this stuff is definitely worth talking about because, yeah, because flood is. Okay,
all right,
both.
Sarah, do
Yeah.
you have the first person to sign?
So the first, I received 6 emails. First person I got was David Butcher. I don't see him in the participants list. I don't know if he's in the room.
I'm here.
Then David should be the
He is
first
in the
person to
room,
go.
Yes.
And give me 1 second. David, your 3 minutes are on the clock. Go ahead.
Great, I only had 2 minutes, so. Hello, my name is David Butcher. I'm a homeowner on Naples Road in the North Brookline community. While I greatly value the high level of safety in Brookline, it's a major reason why my wife and I moved here recently. I'm here today in opposition to the BPD entering an MOU with Flock Safety. First, I believe it is critical that we stop referring to these as license plate readers and refer to them as what they truly are, which is AI surveillance cameras. In fact, the whole 5-page MOU only mentions license plates once. The capabilities of Flock systems extend far beyond just reading license plates, and coincidentally, the resulting ability to violate Brookline residents' rights extends far as well. There are countless examples of Flock systems, of how Flock systems have been used to violate people, but I don't have time to list them here today. Many of them have resulted in lawsuits that have costing municipalities millions. We can be simple into our neighbor Cambridge, who just terminated their Flock after several months of use. Similar concerns from their community. I think it's important that we learn mistakes and not make those mistakes ourselves. On a more practical note, I think it's important for you guys to be absolutely certain to violate our town's almost unanimously approved bylaw banning the use of face surveillance. We have seen patents Flock have been awarded that have wording that's specifically about identifying people's race and gender that I think would violate this bylaw. I also think it's critical that this be reviewed in conjunction with the SDMTE interim report for 2022, which unfortunately is already outdated in respect to the current AI technologies that are at play here. If we can't outright ban this technology, I think we need to make sure that there are impenetrable guardrails on how it's been used. It was discussed last time. I personally don't think that it's possible to put those guardrails in place, but we can try. Lastly, I want you to consider what free means here. Flock MOU, the MOU states that there is no financial implication to Brookline. It is often said these days that when tech companies offer you a service for free, that's because the service isn't the product. You and your data are the product. So I want to ask you guys if you're willing to sell us as a product to this company. Thank you.
What was the second one?
The second person I received an email from
You can
was
start.
Ben Rosenbleet. I believe he's in the room.
Oh.
1 second.
All right.
Ben, your 3 minutes have begun.
Good evening, members of the committee, residents of Brooklyn. My name is Ben Rosenbleet, and I live right across the street there. Tonight to urge you on multiple terms not enter into the MOU with Flock Safety. We all share the goal of a community, but we can't achieve that goal by adopting a system that's been proven to be a tool for mass surveillance, that evades laws, and that other cities are now actively suspending and banning. I want to give you one specific documented example of partnership, and this MOU really means. Earlier this year, police in Texas, a woman logged into the Flock system, the exact same national network that Flock is trying to sell to Brookline. They entered in a search reason for the nationwide hunt, and the reason was had an abortion. In Massachusetts, we passed a SHIELD law to explicitly protect people seeking reproductive and gender affirming, and this partnership and MOU starts to create a digital loophole, allowing data collected in our town to be shared with agencies and states that have criminalized that very care. Proponents will tell you that we can set up some sort of strong policy that can prevent this, but evidence from other towns shows that this is a myth. The ACLU has documented that agencies like ICE and Customs and Border Protection have gained access to local data, sometimes through either backdoor or side door searches that the local departments didn't authorize. So this isn't a hypothetical fear. Just look to our neighbors in Cambridge, as we were just talked about, as well as cities like Sedona, Arizona, and Austin, Texas have canceled their contracts entirely. They felt misled and realized the privacy of their citizens was not a price worth paying. This committee is currently crafting that data use policy, but the fundamental flaw is the network itself. By opting in, we're not just giving our police a new tool, we're feeding a massive private nationwide database that tracks the movements of every person in Brookline, every trip to the doctor's office, every trip to place of worship, or every trip to a political protest. Furthermore, by placing the sensitive data in the hands of a for-profit company, our town's policies become secondary to corporate terms of service and their national business model. The system exposes our town to massive legal risks for violating the Fourth Amendment and our state SHIELD laws. We're being asked to trade our fundamental liberties for a system that other communities are now fighting to remove. Please learn from their mistakes. Don't make Brookline complicit. Don't make Brookline liable. Thank you.
Thank you, David and Ben. Next person, please.
Next person I received an email from was Matthew Goldstein. I don't see Matthew in the participant list, although there is a phone number I can't identify. Is he in the room?
No, it's not.
I'm gonna check the phone number, see who it is. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm asking them to unmute. I believe you need to dial *6 or *9. All right, I don't see any movement from that phone number. I'm not going to take up anyone else's time. We're going to move on. I can forward you Matthew's public comment after this meeting. I got a similar email from Susan Howard, but I don't see Susan Howard in this list, and I don't believe she's in the room.
Yep.
And then there is an email from Dennis.
Yeah, I'm here.
Dennis is in here.
1 second, Dennis.
Sure.
Your 3 minutes have begun.
Hello, my name is Denis Tokachev. I live in North Brookline, and I came today to advise you against in contract with block cameras. I will not repeat previous comments. I will provide kind of my experience. I am from Moscow, Russia, and many years ago, the government installed such cameras in the city to enforce traffic rules. But now, these cameras are used to trace people from protests from everywhere to find them afterwards. You go to protest, you go home, you feel safe, but weeks later, police comes after you and shows, okay, it's your photo, done. Second point, I really appreciate the police department of Brookline, but what do you want to gain from that? My experience, I'm a biker. I bike to work every day, and police doesn't enforce even bike lanes. Several times I saw an officer. I told them there's a car parked on the bike lane. Wasn't enforced. I even put a complaint in the system. And now you want more data, but you can't enforce already what you see by your eyes. What's the point of that? Can anybody answer that question to me? And my last comment, if now we allow you to get one camera, it's a starting point. You will get greedy and want to get more cameras everywhere. And track a person from point A to point B is easy to track for surveillance. So if we open the door will be hard to close it afterwards. So I vote for advise you to vote against any such commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Sarah, the next person, please.
Clint Richmond, let me check the participants list.
He's here in person.
Okay, great. 1 second, sorry. Okay, Clint, your 3 minutes have started.
Thank you. Clint Richmond, town meeting member precinct 6. I've consistently opposed surveillance cameras, including ALPR in Brookline, even before I became a town meeting member in 2010. Just in terms of context, Independence Drive is a major part of a busy roadway connecting West Roxbury Parkway and VFW Parkway in Boston. And most every resident, worker, or visitor of Hancock Village must use Independence Drive for vehicle access. The comings and goings will be tracked 24/7, and the data will be Flock its partners and its partners. I read the notes from last year. It wasn't clear how many cameras there were. The chair seemed to imply there one. I don't know if that means there's only one or only one that might on the public way. It seemed like it was already. I don't think there's anything we could do to installation. But anyway, I'd like to know how many are pointed at Independence Drive, or is it just pointing that they're on their property onto their driveways? I would think that we need more to do that way, but we don't really know how Flock is using or sharing. We're proposing with what's been a surveillance black box. It's with Chestnut Hill Realty Money or getting a discount for sharing the data with Flock. We have absolutely appalled that these cameras are being installed. I think it will harm Chestnut Hill Realty's reputation to be running surveillance. I don't think there's anything stopping Chestnut Hill from streaming the data live over the internet or publishing all the vehicle information. I'm appalled that the town is making Flock a partner of the Brookline Police Department. Flock is a privately owned venture-backed for-profit company that was only founded in 2017, which has quickly grown to have a valuation of $7.5 billion. And the budget of the town of Brookline is a little less than 500 million. So they're over 15 times bigger than the town of Brookline. This is like hiring Joe Surveillance to install, a security camera on your property. This is a huge corporation whose money is who makes money selling data. There's an ACLU article that I sent to Ms. Kaplan that I invite the committee to read. That is kind of an expose on Flock's partnering with law enforcement or its law enforcement issues. So I urge you to read that. The other point about the data is because the values, as someone said, is the network. The more data they get, the more valuable the other data they have is. In this case, it's a great business model because Chestnut Hill Realty, I assume, is paying Flock to have these cameras installed, but they're actually enhancing the value of Flock's business. So anyway, I hope you will join me in urging the select board to oppose any MOU between the Brookline Police Department and Chestnut Hill Realty. This is the most concerning part, really. So the town of Brookline is effectively endorsing or sanctioning this mass surveillance system from Flock. And Flock is using the town of Brookline for that purpose, in my opinion. The select board is having a hearing on this tomorrow night. They're going to talk about the MOU. I hope they don't vote on it because I don't think they have enough information and maybe never will to understand exactly how Flock operates. But in any case, they should be voting no if they vote on it.
Thank you, Clint. Are there any other persons that are signed up and wish to speak?
So if anyone in the participants list wishes to speak, please indicate by raising your hand. I don't see any movement. Again, to the members of the committee, I will forward all emails I received today to the chairs and they will forward it to all of you tomorrow.
Thank you. Two emails or in opposition. Sarah?
I don't have, so all the emails, I'm sorry, I'm having a harder time understanding you. What was the question?
They're for or in opposition to the MOU, you know?
if they indicated any a vote in or an opinion in any way, it's always negative.
Okay,
I
thank
can't-
you.
There were a couple people who did not indicate to me in a clear way what their thoughts were, just that they planned on speaking. But anybody who did provide information, it was all negative.
We had Matthew Goldstein and Susan Howard, I think were the two people who had signed up.
She mentioned,
Did they both submit written testimony?
Susan Howard said that she planned on attending via Zoom. Again, I think she might be the person on the phone, but there's nothing I can do. I asked her to unmute herself. There's nothing more I can do about that. And Matthew Goldstein sent an email. They said, I wish to make public comment, and I'll forward that email to the members. I'm not going to read it into the record right now.
good, thank you. So that is, the agenda item, public comment, there's no other public comment. So we'll move on to the next agenda item. Presentation of the Larimore record system. Do you want to do the introduction, Scott, or do, Deputy Superintendent?
I'll provide context really quickly, I guess. A couple months ago, members of the committee had the opportunity to go over to the police department and get a walkthrough of the basically the dispatch and field report system. And I thought it was really useful for understanding how the police department works and how what information gets recorded and how things work on a because we've been reviewing a lot of policy about data collection, so it was useful to see that in action. So I asked, I'm sorry, are you Officer Hill, or I don't know your title? Lieutenant Hill, all right.
Yeah.
Still getting used to deputy. Lieutenant Hill to comment and talk to the committee. Yeah, I guess that's my introduction. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sarah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna,
anything, Deputy Superintendent?
I'm sorry, the audio is really tricky tonight. I'm not really catching a lot of what's being said, but I think I just heard my name.
Okay, all right.
So.
You're on there, Lieutenant Hill.
yeah, Sarah, I'm
Please.
gonna request that to share. Oh, never mind. I think I already have access. All right. Thank you everyone for having me. Lieutenant David Hill from the Brookline Police Department. Also on with us is Officer Nick Goon, who was part of that PCAC data working group that Scott had referenced earlier. And what we're going to do today is just a walkthrough of the Larimore reporting system. At the meeting that we had earlier in the year, we did kind of like a live walkthrough with the program. So unfortunately, what we're going to have today is just still photos of the system, but hopefully you'll get a good idea of what we've been working with over here. Just some contact information. I'll bring this up again at the end, or if anyone has any questions, Deputy Campbell can either field those or get in touch with us. And it's myself and Officer Goon. Real quick for background of data and storage and data collection for the police department. There's 5 different kind of entities that I think are relevant when we are having this discussion. And those would be information and technology, who, manage the systems and troubleshoot and run the programs. The communications center is the dispatch center, where they are the call takers for any calls that come in. They take those, they log them into the system. Crime analysis, they collect the data and analyze it after the fact, after the reports are written, and then they'll have various reports result from that. Records management is there's several other computer systems that aren't Larimore that are run through them. I can't really speak to those, but also any public records requests would come from records management. And then intelligence, it's when the data is being used to help by criminal investigations used by the detective division. The one thing about these 5 different entities that I have here right now is that they all fall under completely different chains of command within the police station, which explains a little bit why it's me speaking to you. I'm not an expert in any of these, but I work closely enough, or have in the past worked closely enough with them to have somewhat of an understanding, and I think it was just a good fit for the committee. What we're going to focus on for this quick presentation is we're just going to work on Communication Center and crime analysis, and talk about how the Larimore record system is used for the path to get from when calls first came in and get logged to when there's reports and analysis made on them. So Larimore is basically a collection of different records management systems. It's also a computer-aided dispatch system, scheduling system. There's a number of uses for it. Today, we're going to concentrate on only a couple things that are relevant to calls coming in and getting logged and reports, and that aspect of record keeping. This is what a typical Larimore main menu would look like. However, access varies based on rank, assignment, and other factors such as those. There's also submenus for each of these categories, and again, those submenus vary based on those same factors. The computer-aided dispatch is one of those menus that we're going to get into today, and the other one being the report writing system. This is what the dispatchers use to log calls. This is for any 911 call, business line call, any officer that self-initiates the call. This is how dispatch would log the call in, or any walk-ins to the police station, to the front desk. They would all use the same system to log the call. I put some information in there, but so you can get an idea what it looks like. The call codes, we have approximately 200 different call codes, and that's usually up to the dispatcher to figure out what the most appropriate code is to use for that specific call. That is something that they can change as the call develops. It's something that can be changed when they close out the call, and it's something that a supervisor or a dispatch supervisor can request to be changed after the fact if there was another call that was more appropriate. And then we'll get into the significance of that in a little bit. So once the call has been entered, it shows up in the computer-aided dispatch, which is this board will have active calls showing. The officer will get dispatched. They'll go to the call. At that point, when they complete the call, the dispatcher will use the system, the same screen to close out the call, enter a disposition. If it requires an incident report, they'll assign a report number to the police officer, and then they'll close it out. All calls, once they've been entered, whether they're closed out or not, they go into the log, and this here is a public record. There's a copy of this, or there's access to this at the police station lobby, and I believe it's 24 hours delay, just so it can be reviewed to see if there's any information that needs to be redacted or withheld. But the logs of all calls that dispatch entered into the system is available in the police lobby. So if those calls did require incident report, the dispatcher would assign a number to the officer involved. The officer would go into the report writing system, start the report. This is just the basic first screen of the report writing system. And then when they do classifications, there are probably 300 of those. So it's up to the police officer to choose what's the most appropriate classification is. Sometimes there's multiple. I don't think there's a limit on how many different classifications you could have if they're all appropriate and applicable. And then once the report is being written, it's usually you'd have one, sometimes several offenses, you'd have names that could be several of those, and then there's a narrative. Oftentimes there's also property information that will go in there, vehicle information go in there, accident information, and these are all entries that would be searchable later on. If there was an arrest made, the information that goes into the report writing system can be imported into the arrest system, this is what that looks like with just some of the names blanked out. So those three systems kind of all are all connected directly. So searching the systems, they all have a search function where any of that information that we looked at earlier can be used in the search criteria. This is the search function for the CAD, very similar to the one for the report writing system, which is similar to the one for the arrest system. An example of what that might look like, earlier today I had a meeting with the Sargent Road Trust. This would be running a report for any calls that took place in for any street that starts with Sargent from January 1st to present day. The report generated would look something similar to that. Actually, that is the report that was generated. So that's what it would look like. So if the crime analysis, if they're running a report, they would the analyst would do their search parameters. They would get a return similar to this, and then they are able to export all of that information into Excel. And then they would use Excel to organize the data and then use that to compile either internal reports based on particular requests or reports that that we put out to the public. And that would be basically any report coming from the crime analysis unit. So in a nutshell, that's the Larimore system from how it runs from a call first being taken to everything being recorded, and then to it being later reviewed or searched, and just some examples of what that's used for. I know that when we did this the last time, I think it was about 2.5 hours that we were going through the different parts of the system, but you know, Scott, hopefully that's what you were looking for just a quick overview on the system.
Yeah, I would, if I could mention a couple things that I remember from the last time, and you can correct me if my memory is wrong. One is when you talked about records management, the system also powers mandatory reporting we have to the state level. So some of those data categories aren't necessarily of our own volition. They're categories that have to appear in reports we do to the state. I don't remember what the frequency of those are. Right?
So the classifications would be, it would be using terminology or language that is required at the state level, or sometimes even at a federal level. I don't know how the interface works if that stuff gets directly reported. IT might have to go in and do regular to transfer that information to the correct agencies, whether they're state agencies or federal agencies. The IT might have to go in and manually transfer those, but essentially, yes, there are some things that were guided by requirements for mandated reporting.
Yeah, there's vehicle violations. I remember being one of those subcategories that have to be separately reported. And the other, I wanted to just draw the committee's attention to the fact that when those codes had a police, a fire, and an EMS priority associated with them, there's one unified system. And so if there is an incident that merits a joint response, they're all dispatched together. And if there's, something that just the fire department responds to, but it's all done in the same system. There was a separate, again, this is sort of just looking at that carefully, there's a separate event number and case number. So any event that a unit responds to or phones in gets assigned an event number. Many of them don't require further follow-up. And so that's all they have. The case number is, you know, if the ticket is issued or whatever, it's a case number, and that's the thing that then triggers some mandatory reporting. So there's kind of two separate systems, one for the initial event and one for once the report has to be written. Again, correct me if I'm getting this wrong. And the other thing I remember seeing, which is probably hard to demo statically, is that there is an in-car version of the system as well. And we saw the report writing system, but my recollection is that if you look at the event number, that event number says exactly what car was dispatched to it and when they arrived and when they unassigned themselves from that particular event. And so when we, for this committee's use, when we get a complaint from a member of the community and they say somebody was, you know, I got treated poorly at this intersection at this time, that's the number, right? Then you can look at that event at that time and see which unit was there or who was assigned to that location. So even if an official, you know, no ticket was written, no official report was taken, the event number still tells what units were there, including fire and EMS and everyone else was there at that time. Yeah, those were my recollections. Again, correct me if I've gotten any of that wrong, but that was some of the stuff I remember from the previous.
No, you must have taken really good notes, because that's all accurate.
Thanks.
Christine or Kimberly, any questions? John?
I only had one question. It was very tactical. Like I think the list of codes seemed interesting. I do wonder if that itself is publicly available information, like what codes are fileable. Like part of the reason I bring this up is even the comment that was made earlier about bike lanes. Like if people know that we track bike lane, you know, violations, they could have more insight and know that, like, at least that's something that we look at and that we care about. But yeah, just curious if that's public information, what the sort of codes are and classifications.
I believe it is. I can also tell you that out of those 200 to 300, there's probably only, you know, 60 to 100 that are frequently used. So there's some of them that might have been never used or very infrequently used. But I don't think it's a problem to get a list of those classification codes. Obviously, I'll check with IT or if the deputy knows, but I don't think that's an issue.
I can't imagine it would be a problem to share the codes. There's no private or confidential information there.
I also, this might be speaking out of turn, but that seemed to be one of the rumblings I heard about the current Larimore system, is that searching that list of codes and finding the right code is sometimes harder than it is. I believe it's like substring searchable. So if you start typing some keys, it will show you all the codes that have that in there, right?
Yeah, I think the bigger challenge is consistency. If there's a couple call codes that could be appropriate for a certain situation, we don't want some dispatchers classifying it one way and then others classifying it another way, because then that will defeat the purpose when we're trying to do a search after. So that would I think that's something that we would need to work with, but it might take a little time to find all the codes, but it is searchable. It's just consistency is also an important part of that.
A little different from the Larimore system. System that I'm very interested in is the body camera system. At one point when we had a trip to the police department, we saw the Larimore system. We also saw the body camera system, and that, you know, it's out of scope for today, but for a future meeting, a review of the body camera system, you know, how long it's been in service, how it's being used. I think that would be valuable to see and me.
Yeah, my recollection is it is cross-linked to those same case number and event number indexes.
Yeah, exactly. They're not directly interfaced, but the way that they are connected is by using those event numbers and case numbers.
So I have a question. So, with all this data, right? Do we ship this data out someplace or it's all kept in the, digitally, in the police department?
Paul, I have maxed out my technological expertise for this meeting. I don't think I could tell you. I think it's in-house, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
table that question if that's okay.
Do you know?
I believe when I met with Detective Pilgrim, I think he indicated that the Larimore system was like housed and stored on premise. That is my recollection, but I can email and clarify that as well, or maybe you can email and clarify back to us.
Yeah, my understanding is that there is more or less unified IT in town, that all the different town departments share resources, but that the police department does have a separate system for its own purposes. And I think the schools have some separate systems as well for similar, probably legal reasons. But the basic network infrastructure connecting the police department with the rest of the town and whatnot is shared by IT. And I don't know if it's all on premises or not, but
Yeah, there was like a server rack on whatever floor where his office was, that I think it was there. But then, yeah, obviously all the cabling and it seems like that same system. Well, depends. There's like a lot of systems for
Yeah.
actually, so yeah.
the body cameras are the newer system. I'm not entirely sure whether that is a cloud-based system or local. It is part of I suspect it's cloud because it is part of the ongoing cost of the cameras is storage for the cameras. And Deputy Superintendent Campbell, again, you probably know this better than me, but just for the committee, I believe the basic process is that in the morning or when you start your shift, you take a camera from the rack. It gets put back on the charger and download station at the end of your shift, and all that data gets tucked into the storage system for indexing, and that data is retained for a state mandated time, which I think is 30 days, and then removed after that.
So so you're generally correct. Everyone has their own camera with 2 batteries. They take the cameras home with them. At the beginning of so the theory is they charge the battery fully. They get between, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours of use per battery. So yeah, they're required to dock the camera before they leave. But docking the camera, depending on how much video is on the camera, that might only be 5 minutes that they have to dock it. It would download, it does charge also, but it will download all the video to the server and delete it from the body camera. And then they go home. As they're filming or as they're going to calls, they turn the body camera on when they get to a call. When they complete the call, they turn the body camera off. Then they tag it. And so everything as it gets downloaded to the system, it is also indexed in that way. It's also, if they forgot to tag it, didn't tag it as anything, didn't put a case number on it, it's also logged by date and time. So you can look at the call review and see when someone went to a call and match up the date and time of the body camera video. I missed the last part of your question about 30 days.
I just couldn't remember what the data retention period is, but I recall that it's set by state law.
So the minimum is set by state law. The policy is 37 months that the data is retained for. The 37 months might seem a little bit strange. Statute of limitations, traditional types of litigation that we would, tend to be involved in. Not all cases, but many types of cases. The statute of limitations is 36 months. So we're throwing 1 extra month just to cover any potential grace periods, and then the data would go away. There are obviously some exceptions, active cases, more serious cases where there are special circumstances where the data would be kept longer or shorter. If there's an accidental, the cameras can be finicky. If someone comes up and touches you, someone gives you a hug, your camera might go on. And so those are accidental stored. Those are deleted in 30 days.
Well, I think it probably does merit a full presentation of its own, but there is a process for removing accidental triggers like that, and an audit process, if I recall. And the cameras themselves have the world's tiniest little display, just like that code number on, which I'm impressed that they managed to do it.
So Lieutenant Hill, do we purge information from the Larimore system every so often?
No, I think that's an ongoing record.
And just to answer a question before, the Larimore data is stored in-house. Body cameras are in the cloud, Larimore's in-house.
Anybody else has any questions or comments?
Can you remind me if the code numbers that are on the cameras are the same ones that are entered into the Larimore system? Or I think they're a subset of the list, but the same numbers? Is that?
I'm not sure. I don't think they are. But I can look into that.
Which code numbers?
When you tag on the camera, do you know if the number associated with that event, does that match up with Larimore? I think they're random, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
But there's a short list of codes. It's not the full 200 codes that you can put in, I think. Right.
Right. So IT puts in, a couple of standard codes that, that probably encompass 90% of the calls we're on, alarm call, B&E report, assault and battery, domestic violence, stuff like that. So for most of the calls that they go on, or many of the calls they go on, traffic stop, et cetera, they're literally just scrolling through a list of 10 or 12 codes and selecting the one that applies.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Chris. When was this system initiated? Is this,
The Larimore?
yeah,
Do you mean Larimore or body cameras, Christine?
Larimore. Larimore.
I want to say it was around 2003, 2002. It's evolved somewhat, so it started, but it's become more over the years. Originally we didn't have report writing. Now we do report writing through Larimore, which has been, quite a big change. The detail system is run through Larimore, which wasn't originally the case. So I think it was the early 2000s. It may have been even earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Hill. That was very informative for us.
Thank you.
I know you have another meeting to go to, so thank you.
all right. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next item is monthly civilian feedback report. And Sarah usually presents on that. Perhaps we could take number 7 to the status of the revised new civilian feedback form in Google Forms.
Okay, so there is no report because there were no additions to the report this month. Again, we haven't received any sort of feedback from the public since July. I am still working on getting the Google form up and running. When I do, I will make sure to forward it to the chairs so they can forward it to the members so that the members know it's public. Hopefully I can get that done shortly.
Thank you. We go to 6B, topics of interest by PCAC members. Kimberly, juvenile operations.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Kimberly. And Scott, did you want to say anything more about data systems?
I'll just echo that. I think perhaps the next presentation, I don't know if it has to be like right away, but soon will be the body camera system.
Do you want to coordinate that or?
Yeah, I'm happy to follow up with
Great.
Deputy Superintendent Campbell or Lieutenant Hill.
Anything else, Scott?
Yes.
Okay. ICE report in Brookline. Any new activity, Deputy Superintendent Campbell? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, there is. Give me 1 sec. I just want to pull it up.
Sure.
Okay, so we have one new ICE update to report. It was from October 12th of this year. The incident was a suspect that we had arrested. The arrest was for a failure to stop for a police officer, negligent operation, driving without a license, and unregistered motorcycle. Essentially, he took the cops on a chase. He was booked and he was deemed eligible for release. The bail clerk came in and released the prisoner, and upon being released, he exited the police station. ICE agents were waiting outside and they took him into custody. That is essentially the only ICE update I have. That's it since the last time frame.
Do we have an idea of how the ICE even knew he was in custody?
They always know the same way. They're tapped into the fingerprint system. So in this case, they were there pretty quick because I talked to the lieutenant who was working that night. They typically will send over a detainer and let us know, and we will go down and advise the person, hey, we're putting a detainer in your file, so you have it when you're released. In this case, that didn't happen because he was released relatively quickly. We didn't even get the detainer. I do think the detainer had been sent, but they send them by fax, and we don't have people sitting by the fax machine. So it's possible the detainer came in before the prisoner was released, but we didn't know that a detainer had been sent until after he was gone.
Unfortunately, that means he also wasn't notified of that, right?
That's correct. We didn't know.
And just out of curiosity, are the fingerprints were probably not taken at the scene? They were taken when he was booked at the station, right?
Correct. Everybody gets fingerprinted and photographed upon arrest to confirm identity.
Any other questions, comments?
Just because we were talking about Larimore, I'm just curious. So that's when an arrest, I think we didn't fully see the arrest and booking part of Larimore, but that's also done via Larimore, right? There's
the arrest, correct. The booking system is a Larimore system, yes.
And it would just following the numbers, right? So there would be an event for the officer who was dispatched to chase down the speeding motorcycle, a case number when a traffic violation or an actual violation would be issued, and then probably a separate booking record when the decision was made to arrest the individual, right?
Well, so there actually wouldn't be a case number assigned if it was just a citation, but this was an arrest. So so we don't write reports if we stop somebody and write, let's say it's a speeding ticket. They get a ticket, but there's no report for that. The ticket is essentially the written documentation. But this was something more than this. This was a chase. And so he was taken into custody. That generates a case number. That generates, a full booking process.
But when I just restating, when they ran the fingerprints to see if he had any other outstanding warrants, that's the search that notifies ICE.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yes, just a tactical question. Are you tracking these sort of ICE interactions because this committee is asking about them, or is there a policy that the police department tracks like these like sort of ICE interactions outside of the station?
I'm tracking them because I was asked to for this committee.
Okay. Just wanted to.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. Status of the flock installation by Chestnut Hill Realty. I understand it's going to go before the select board. Perhaps you could just give us an update, Deputy Superintendent Campbell.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add. It is on the agenda for the select board tomorrow night. The chief is I don't even know if it's going to be much of a presentation so much as she's going to make a request that that the select board agreed to the memorandum of understanding. I'm relatively confident that there will be a representative of Flock also present for the meeting. I believe the select board may have questions for them, so they will be there and be available to answer whatever questions that come up.
You to know offhand, there's no reason why you bring this would, where on the, like, where on the select board agenda it is, like, is it early on or later on, or about what time? I
thought I saw 7:15, but I don't know that for certain. And I've been to enough select board meetings that I know that 7:15 may not mean 7:15. They tend, if they tend to run later rather than earlier. If you get there at 7:15, it's unlikely you'd miss it. But you know, but I could be wrong. You never know.
Yeah, I can confirm that it's on the agenda for 7:15.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to restate for the record, not that it makes any, well, that at the moment that there's a difference between the police department installing Flock cameras themselves and the agreement that would be signed for that, and the MOU for accessing the data which Chestnut Hill Realty is generating. I'm not personally a fan of either, but I can't tell Chestnut Hill Realty what to do. And some of the objectionable language that was highlighted by the ACLU MA, for example, apply, I believe, only to the MOU that's signed if the Brookline Police were to install the cameras. So my understanding is, despite what the representative Flock stated, if we were to install town Flock cameras, the agreement that we would sign gives Flock the right to share our data with anyone, even though we were sort of assured that it would remain in town or in state, it would be under our control. However, the MOU that I believe is before the select board doesn't have any Brookline generated data, town of Brookline generated data. It is only for access to the CHR data. Again, I don't love that either, but it does seem to be absent some of the harms that would be possible.
Although it's interesting, although we have no control over it, whether Chestnut Hill Realty, I mean, I know that it's considered that Chestnut Hill Realty completely owns the data outright, but I do find myself wondering whether Flock, it's outside of our control, whether Flock has access to the Chestnut Hill Realty data, even though Chestnut Hill Realty owns it, and Chestnut Hill Realty also could just kind of decide to share it with anybody, including, you know, ICE or whatever.
I suspect that the objectionable terms of the ACLU flag exist in the CHR agreement they signed with Flock as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the two different statuses. I think as we discussed last time, I think the policy that I would like to see the town and perhaps this committee, if the select board chooses to develop, would probably be about town installing Flock cameras, since that seems to be where most of the harm would be.
Yeah, if I could just follow up on that, because Scott, I think you summarized it pretty accurately. And I think there's some confusion. It's clear to me that there are some people who have very strong feelings about Flock and the town entering into an agreement, but I think people are misunderstanding exactly what's happening here. You know, a private company is bringing Flock in. Flock is coming. Like, that's happening. That's not on the table. And no matter what we do here is not going to impact that. So the question is, you know, is there any value in us using some of the data for the town of Brookline? And I think there is, and I understand there are concerns about how we would do that. And, you know, I've heard some of the horror stories, and I can only say that, you know, we agree with that. Like, there are things that these cameras shouldn't be used for. And we're all in favor of restricting certain things. I've read about the case in Texas that people highlight. I don't know what to say about that, except that, you know, we're in full agreement. These cameras shouldn't be used in that way. And we have no intention of using the cameras that way. As far as, you know, I mean, we can kill the MOU. It just doesn't do anything to the cameras. And if the data is there and, you know, at some point it helps us find a missing child, or, you know, I can tell you that very recently, you know, we had a mailbox theft. Someone has a key to a mailbox. They're driving around in a car and we have a license plate, and that vehicle is also wanted for a shooting. And they're driving around in South Brookline sometimes. I'd love to be able to get a hit if that vehicle is seen driving around in South Brookline. And so there is value here. And if the cameras are coming, it just seems like there's some real benefit to being able to use them. And also, you know, we fully support guardrails. We fully support having restrictions on what they can't be used for. And I think probably the restrictions that the people who are opposed to them would want aren't that much different than the restrictions that we want in the police station. So I just wanted to put that out there. But it's not really on the agenda for an in-depth conversation about Flock, but I'm sure there will be time for more commentary tomorrow at the select board meeting.
Just out of curiosity, Paul, do you happen to know, there was, one of the questions was it one camera or several cameras, and any cameras, which ones would be facing a public way, like Independence Drive? Do you happen to have any information about that?
I don't have confirmation. I can tell you what my understanding is. I think I'm right, but I don't know that for sure. And I also can't promise that what I think is going to happen won't change. But my understanding is that there will be one camera. It will be on private property facing public property. So I think it's going to pick up the cars coming from Hancock Village on Independence coming into Brookline. I think it's only one camera, and I think I'm right on that, but I can't say for sure. And, you know, plans change. I can't say for sure, even if that is the plan, that it wouldn't change.
So it'd be interesting to know whether a representative from Flock and from Chestnut Hill Realty will be present at the select board meeting tomorrow, who could answer that kind of question. You happen to know offhand?
I believe someone from Flock will be there. I do not think someone from Chestnut Hill Realty, but again, I can't say for certain.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I would also love to be. Flock seemed to answer both ways when I asked if a separate MOU is required for every customer, or if this was going to be blanket permission for anyone in Brookline who installed any number of cameras. Again, they indicated that a separate MOU would be required for every customer, but I'm not sure that I believe them. So we'll see.
Question, how has the community been notified about all of this? Is it like in Brookline.news or
Yeah,
what? I'm sorry.
Brookline News published an article. I'm sure other people did, but I know.
Yeah, they published the first article, and but I've also seen it on. There was even a, well, actually, the CBS News thing was about Cambridge revoking their permission. But I know I've seen at least a couple of news outlets kind of pick up about the possibility in Brookline.
The ACLU of Massachusetts also published a report a couple of days ago, so it's been in the atmosphere.
And also, it's on the agenda for select board.
And Deputy Superintendent Campbell has given a couple of interviews on TV about what's going on in Brookline. So, all right. Anything else about this item before we move on? No? Okay. We already went through 7 about the status of the new form, and then we're on to 8. Discussion of future topics and agenda. We've already said we should have a presentation of body cams. Anything else? Well, future topics.
Oh, but the next meeting's gonna, we're planning is gonna be around December, right?
December 8th, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna commit to having the final report on, the investigation of civilian complaints by then. I think that we're gonna report last month, but
Okay,
final report I've committed to for
Okay.
December.
great.
I'll ask whether December 8th is sufficient time for a body camera discussion.
If it is, let us know.
Yeah.
They'll put on the agenda.
If it's not, I think we should probably do it the one after, because I think the next two meetings are both like a month and a half between them
Yeah, sure. That's the last meeting for this year.
for this year. Oh, that's right.
And then, okay.
And
Any
then, as always, I'll ask that we keep being informed on the status of ICE operations in town.
And
I'll just put this out there. December 8th, I will not be able to attend. I'm gonna have Dave Hill, the lieutenant who spoke earlier, attend in my absence.
all right, okay.
Lieutenant Hill, I remember this title.
All right, future meetings. Since December 8th is the last meeting of this year, we need to decide on the next 6 months. All right. So everybody get up their cell phones and their light. Sarah, you want to lead us on this?
So
We usually do this on the last.
last Monday of the
Monday.
month. January
Sorry,
20
I thought I was off mute. The last Monday of January 2026 is the 26th of January. The last Monday of February is the 23rd. The last Monday of March is the 30th. The last Monday of April is the 27th. The last Monday of May is the 25th.
Is that gonna be Memorial Day?
Probably.
Yes.
If we want to change that,
So if you want to do it the week before, it's the 18th.
yeah, that'd be better.
And then June, the last Monday of June is the 29th. I want to check one thing before we commit to anything, and that's the multicultural calendar my office keeps. 1 second.
All right.
Nope.
March 30th, right?
Yes.
So, hold on. Engage with Brooklyn. Multiple. I just want to make sure we're not running into any known holidays.
Checking it. Well,
Okay. So,
that's
Um,
Easter here.
Palm Sunday is technically the last March, or I'm sorry, the last Monday in March.
Last Monday in March is Palm Sunday, you said?
Last
Monday is Palm Sunday.
The Sunday.
I'm sorry. Different calendars. I'm looking at the wrong day. We're fine. The 30th of March is fine.
Okay.
I apologize. And then the 27th of April is fine. The 25th of June is, of course, Memorial Day. So I would suggest we move it to the 18th.
Okay.
And the last Monday in June it's the Monday after the last day of school, unless there are makeup days for weather cancellations. Just FYI.
All right.
So hold on, I want to understand the dates we've committed to so that I can use our internal system to reserve the room. So we said January what?
26th,
February what?
23rd,
March what?
30th,
April,
27th.
May, we said the 18th, and June
29.
is okay, that is fine. I can work on getting those in the system and make sure we have this room.
Thank you, Sarah. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I just want to go back to item 8, which is future topics and agenda. So at the end of the year, well, when I said we, meaning Ron and I, as co-chairs, file a report with the select board on what PCAC has done for the year. And there's a couple of items we have never addressed in our history, as a matter of fact, all these years. And it's part of our charge. So I'm gonna put that on the agenda, the items we have not addressed, that's in the charge. All right, and we should discuss them and perhaps put some priority on those items because we have not addressed them. They're part of our charge and we're supposed to be doing that. Okay, so that will be for the next meeting, which is December 8th, and that's sort of set the agenda for the next year, 2026. Okay, does that make sense?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else, folks?
No,
No.
no.
All right. Well,
Oh,
yes, Sarah.
the audio wasn't great, so I will do my best. I will reach out to IT and try to figure out why, but I honestly think it might have been that there were a lot of people in the room and just not enough like audio support, like not too many voices for Zoom to understand.
But it's not like we're all talking at once. You know, we talk one at a time. And even a few of us in here, I thought they were already, right from the beginning, of audio problem still. I'm not
The
sure
only
that,
reason I'm saying this is because as soon as everybody left, the audio got markedly better.
well,
Like,
that was interesting.
so I'm a little bit confused. I don't know, and obviously I'm not there and can't do much about it, but the audio was very bad at the beginning of the meeting. So I'll just reach out to IT to let them know.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
For what it's worth, I think we heard everyone fine in the room.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So I would say that we're probably relying really heavily on the minutes for so thank you very much. Have a good night.
No, thank you.
Wait. Motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
John Hilliard, aye.
Ron Wilkinson, aye.
Scott Manny and I.
Christine, please. I can't hear
You're on mute.
Yes, I'll take, yes, let that. Kimberly, please.
Aye.
So good to see you, Kimberly.
Good to see you too.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Deputy Superintendent.
Okay.